Hello, guys. Good morning. Um, these are all my thoughts and opinions. Do your own research, and this is for fun, okay? Be kind in the comments. Be nice in the comments. After a few days, you start thinking about things, and when you calm down after the initial outrage, you calm down. In many ways, Her Majesty the Queen was spot on, in my opinion. Please, these are my thoughts and opinions. Now that everybody, including myself, had a time to calm down. Her Majesty the Queen and the royals are not the ghetto. They don't engage in, and they shouldn't engage in tit for tat, especially, with people the likes of Meghan Markle. I know that what they said because they have access to a platform, thanks to the very same family they're trashing, which makes it more terrible. Her Majesty the Queen, in my opinion, after thinking about it, I'll tell you why I'm saying these things. I talked to one of my friends, yesterday. We were talking about, she's a psychologist. She has helped me a lot in my situation. I'll tell you just a little bit about it. I asked for to divorce my now ex in 2013. He didn't like that. The last attempt in my life by him was made in June 22nd, 2019. I ended up with a broken leg. My face here, this part broke here, but you can't really see it. Broken arm, the whole right side of my left side. The whole left side of my body, because he tried to have me run over, and they managed, apparently from what they tell me, because I just remember the noise. And then I realized later on that noise was when the vehicle impacted me. And yes, it was him. And yes, he's still free, because I was at the time in Central America looking out after my farms. And he hired somebody. It turns out that he hired the cousin of his current wife to do it. But because he wasn't in the country, he was in Norway, I couldn't do anything about it. And the police, they were lazy. And because of who he is, the police were reluctant. When I was talking to my friend yesterday, she was telling me that, how do you deal with a crazy psychopath? This is like when you break up with your crazy psycho ex-boyfriend and he doesn't want to let go. And that's the position that the royal family is in right now. I am pretty sure, again, that everything is in regards to perspective. The press is not very good at that, because if they actually put the right perspective, they wouldn't be selling many papers, and you would have it against Meghan Markle and Harry. Why do I say that? In 2013, they're doing a series on me and stuff like that, so you probably end up seeing it. Because of my ex-husband's position, I had the Prime Minister of Norway looking into my stuff. They were all backing him. It was a nightmare for me and my son. And I remember they ran a story, and I was absolutely crying. How could you? Because they were all lies, literally. And they were proving in court that they were all lies. And I remember that the people, but at the time the furor was such that they wanted to believe him because of his status, his position, blah, 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 right? So when the guy from the biggest newspaper in Norway called me and said, listen, we want to hear your side. And I said, well, have you heard my side of the story before you printed that? Shouldn't you have had some journalistic responsibilities prior to running the story? And the guy just stayed quiet. And then I said, you're free. I told him, you're free to come and look at all the court papers. You're free to talk to my son. You're free to do anything you want. And then he said, okay, send me the papers. And I did. He called me back, and listen to this. He said, we are very, very sorry. I talked to my editor, and we're not going to run the story. So I said to him, and my son said to him, please run the story, tell our story. And the guy hung up and he said, let me talk to my editor again and I'll give you a call back. The guy, talked to his editor, and then he called me back, and then he said, I'm sorry, ma'am, but the government is one of the biggest stockholders from our paper. And your husband's position is such, but I'll tell you what we're not going to do. We're not going to run any more stories from now on, but we're not going to print yours. I mean, I was crushed because the only stories that were out there were those of my ex-husband, soon-to-be ex-husband. Now he was my ex-husband. So I believe for real that Her Majesty the Queen foresaw all of this, which is why she gave Meghan Markle such privileged treatment above everybody else, because she must have seen this coming. I mean, if you think in the claims that they're both saying, Her Majesty the Queen must have known that they were going to be debunked because there are so many public records. And the lies that they're saying, it's just outright. Yeah, I'm sure Her Majesty the Queen, because can you imagine having access to the Archbishop of Canterbury to come to your home to bless or do whatever? Because I, in my opinion, what I think happened was that he did come over to bless them or to talk to them, to calm them. Because I'm pretty sure she was saying, oh, I am so nervous playing the victim. So this is why Her Majesty the Queen did that, because there's so many receipts and Meghan Markle has exposed them. Because look at the privilege of her saying. And then people are going, oh, can he please verify? But we know that the law says that you need 2 witnesses. We know that, there are all these things that don't tick. It does remind me of my ex-husband, like I ended up going to, why I am in Norway? Because in spite of it all these years, when I got divorced was the happiest day of my life. Unfortunately, I couldn't have a party because out of respect, because unfortunately, my divorce decree came out the same year later, and it was 1 year to the date that his mother passed away. His mother passed away on March 18th, 2013, and my divorce came out on March 18th, 2014. And out of respect to the memory of his mother, I didn't have a party. With my ex, I was always hoping he's going to go away if I ignore him. Surely people know that is true. Surely people who know me. The problem that you have with that, if anything, that taught me who my friends were. I lost a lot of friends because I was not in a position of power. He was. But then again, the friends that I have are wonderful to me and I love them and I cherish them. But those were dark years. I mean, they still are. Wishing that they behaved differently, it doesn't make it so. Now, I tried to ignore it. And the funny thing is that people thought that it was me taking him to court. It was never me taking him to court. It was him because he wouldn't let go. The narcissistic psychopaths, they want to keep a hold of you. They want to keep you engaged. And as hard as I tried to not, I had to actually go to court, because if you don't answer in court, then if you don't give an answer in court, anything the other party says is taken for granted that it is true. The mistake that I see Her Majesty the Queen making is the following. There are repercussions, dangerous repercussions to Harry and Meghan Markle in this sense, not because of gossip. I mean, the level of shallowness from this woman is that Kate made me cry. But that's not the whole story. Maybe she cried because she was pissed off that they weren't doing what she wanted, just like the tiara thing, Maybe she made the little girl, Princess Charlotte, cried. Maybe everybody cried. But she's only, because she's so narcissistic, she only thinks of herself. But can you imagine that all it boils down to for a person like Meghan Markle is a story about who cried. There's nothing dignified about that. It's not I gave a donation or they didn't like. There is a very interesting part where she says, I wrote letters to them, telling them, use me. I am sure she did. But what she didn't understand, and she didn't probably fully say, is that in those letters must have been, I am better than Kate. Her message must have been, I want to do what Kate is doing. But she can't. The job is taken. The job was taken. Another little interesting bit that I found is when Harry says that he was told there's not enough money for Meghan and for her to continue acting and that they would help her. Why was that so offensive for an independent woman to continue working in her craft? Why? I don't understand why that is offensive. It's like working is offensive. Harry doesn't say, I gave up, I left my family, everything I love. No, it's all we had to give up. He means the luxuries and perks, not the people. So don't feel sorry for Harry. People say, they made him walk behind that casket. In an interview, he said that they told him, they gave him the option. They didn't give William the option, but they gave him the option. And in that interview, he says that he was glad that he ended up doing it because his mother would have been proud. And now everybody keeps going on about it. He was given the choice. And this is from his own words because they said William had to do it. What I'm summarizing with all of this is that Her Majesty the Queen has so many receipts. Meghan Markle was given so many privileges that we have all done the job for her, that the claims are so outlandish and so incredible. And I'm pretty sure that putting them as head of the Commonwealth was a very calculated move, because probably she saw it coming, saying, listen, we even put you in charge of the Queen's Commonwealth Trust, which is the Queen's most loved, if you like, project. So, but there are things that I understand that people are talking about. There are other consequences that are pretty terrible to this. Number one, the reputations of the employees. Number two, the bullying and the abuse that they endured. Number three, the reputation of the entire nation has suffered a blow. Now in these times where people don't care about what's true, no, they don't care what's fact. They only care about scandals. She hasn't managed it, because people who are for real know that what the monarchy stands for. And the best thing that they can do is ignore it and not engage in a ghetto fight. Okay, but for me, they continue. The worst part of it all is that they endanger the lives. They increase the level of danger in the royals, out there, outside, without any thought of care, through slander. The reason why I came to Norway was to fight, to clear my name, and to show him in the court of law in Norway, because I won in all other courts. Now that I am here, before for many years, it's taken me 2013, we're 8 years. This is how terrible it is dealing with a psychopath narcissistic who has a little bit of power. It's taken me 8 years. Now, no paper wanted to talk to me back then. They're all falling all over themselves to talk to me now. People calling me, they want to do my story, they want to do that. You know what? And you know what my answer is? Where were you then? Where were you then when I needed you? So I really think that people, after our outrage has died down and we look at the cold facts, it's laughable. And the perspective that the newspapers are trying to give is terrible. Now the newspapers are suing or asking CBS to take down a bunch of snippets that Oprah put of pieces of articles she doctored in order to make it a narrative, and that is terrible. She is being sued. I do believe that the government, the only way to deal with people that are psychopaths when it goes on and on, because they're not letting go. A psychopath is never going to stop until you put a stop to it. Not by, tit for tat, no, but by using lawful tools and show them that you are not fucking around. You know what I mean? So, step one, the newspapers are suing Oprah or whatever, ask them to retract it and do whatever. I don't know if she'll publicly do it because it doesn't suit her narrative. Number two should be to continue with the investigation about the abuse allegations and bullying for the staff. Number three, continue with the investigation for the funds. Number four, you need to cut all ties. You need to cut the oxygen of what makes them. One of the oxygen of what makes them is the fact that Harry still has a title and is in line to the succession throne. Yesterday, Friday, was the first Friday that Boris Johnson went to meet Her Majesty the Queen. You know, they have a weekly meeting, right? He went to meet her yesterday. I hope that they discussed removing the titles. And it would be great if instead of the royal family, it is the government that issues, or a member of parliament who says, we don't want them there. Because Harry does not represent the royal family. I hope they have included a clause that says that he cannot be in the line of succession while he's living abroad, just like he cannot be a council of state if he's living abroad. Because basically that would say, listen, while you're in the U.S., you're not in the line of succession. While you're residing elsewhere, you're not in the line of succession. It would be wonderful if a letters patent was issued saying that only Prince William, only the firstborn of the eldest only the firstborn of Prince Charles and his kids are royal and have prince titles. Yes, it can be done. It can be done. You know, Meghan Markle wanted them to hire her, have the position, but just like Hollywood, they rejected her because, you know, they didn't need her. She was not good enough. She's not up to the task. The little performances that I called that she did was 10 minutes at most. Bored, angry, nasty. You know, people like them, they don't care if they have positive or negative attention. They just want attention. I'm going to leave something in perspective because you know how I like doing things. There are 300, as of 2020, this is the census in the U.S., there were 331 million people in the entire of the United States. California is the most populated one, with if I'm not mistaken, it's 39.7 million as of in 2020. Only 17 million people watched Oprah's interview. In spite of all the internet. Remember when I told you that Oprah wanted to, this is, to Oprah is a big get because her ratings had completely declined. So for her, this is a big get because she wasn't even getting 100,000 people. So for her, this is a big get, but not big enough. Because it's 5.1% of the entire population of the United States. I also did a little bit of research, and it shows that worldwide, with the 17.1 million people who watched it in the States, the audience so far with these numbers, the total audience reached worldwide, and this is because apparently the UK, there were 11 million people watching, which is the second highest. The total of households that watched that interview were 39.4 million. That is not very much, given that it was highly publicized in this world. And sadly for them, 71% of people, including liberals, who saw that video ended up not liking them. This is why Oprah is rerunning it, to see if she will have higher audience. The problem that she has is that everything good that they needed to see, they saw. So the moral of this that I think I've come to is like, we should switch the perspective, but the royal family must cut a clean break. You cannot give mixed signals to a psychotic ex-boyfriend, which is basically the relationship that Meghan Markle and Harry have. You don't give them mixed signals. You make clean breaks. You're not a royal. You do not represent the queen. You have to remove them from that website. I don't know if they're waiting for March 31st because they're good to their word. But if March 31st comes, they can no longer be in that website. And hopefully by March 31st, their titles will be removed. Because Her Majesty the Queen can rescind the Sussex titles. It is not correct. Because these mixed signals are not good for anybody in the nation at all. It hurts the UK, it hurts the monarchy, it endangers people's lives. Because there are, guys, you have no idea how many nasty emails I get. And mine is a little channel, I don't even have 1,000 people. I'm shocked I have 1,000 people, But this is how terrible things are with these people. You cut them, but you make absolute clear boundaries. There cannot be any ambivalence. With my ex, I tried to say, let's be nice, let's co-parent. Why can't we just all get along? I was kind of like Rodney King. But no, my ex was never intent of getting along. He was intent of causing as much damage as possible. And he always did it from afar. This is like when you break up with somebody and they say, I'm going to show up the naked pictures you have, or I'm going to show them the emails you have. I mean, this is where we're getting with Harry and Meghan Markle. There are people, because the royal family has moved on. They haven't. What do you think? Let me know what you think, okay? Because this is just my take that I've been thinking about it, because it compares a little bit. Well, no. I mean, it doesn't compare. Clearly, they're the royal family. By the way, I just wanted to say something. Did you see Her Majesty the Queen? You guys know I'm a Trekkie, right? So when I saw her talking to these people in Mars thing, I just... if I was ever... I never will, but if you ever received a call from the Queen, can you imagine? Good morning. Oh, she's so adorable. Anyways, I wanted to thank you guys also for sending me all the emails. I really do read each and every one of them. I'm sorry I can't respond to all of you, but I actually do like it, and I do read some of the materials, and some of you see that I have put it up or used it. So thank you. It's nice to receive people who are nice sending me emails for a change. And thank you for all your donations, guys. It's really, really nice. And it's greatly appreciated. Let me know what you think in the comments.